Welcome back, it's Zion from Uke on Demand, and this week we're going over the Christmas carol, I Saw Three Ships. Since this is such a short Christmas song, we're going to teach the entire tutorial in this video, but you can get the tabs at ukeondemand.com. Let's get started. So in the recording you just heard, I was using a low G ukulele, but for this tutorial I'll be in a high G because this arrangement can work with both. So to begin, we're going to start out in a G5, and first, before that, I'll play the entire bar so you can hear it. And that last note will launch us into the next bar. So to begin, we're going to start out as if we were doing a barred G chord. So the index finger will be barring the second fret of the C, E, and A. And the middle finger will be on the third fret of the E. And we won't strum anything just yet. First, we'll just pick that second fret of the C. And then we're going to strum 3/4 of this chord. So we're just going to strum those top three strings, G, C, and E, while leaving this shape here. And so we're not hitting the A there. And then, continuing to leave the shape there, we're going to pick the third fret of the E or the open G, whichever one you like. Then moving on from there, we're going to pick the third fret of the E or the open G string if you prefer. From this barred index finger, you're just going to arc it up just a hair to reveal that open A string. And after we pick that A, we're just going to lay it back down so it's covering the second fret again. So putting that first little section together slowly. Moving on, we're going to keep this shape where it is, but now we're going to add the pinky to the fifth fret of A. I'm using a tenor. If you're using a concert or a soprano, you might, if it's more comfortable, you can also get away with using your ring finger instead. But either way, we're going to add that finger to the fifth fret of the A string. Now we're making a G5 chord, and we're going to strum that once. Once we strum that, we're going to remove fifth fret of A, which reveals back here to the second fret of A, and we're just going to pick that once. And then once more, just slightly arc that index finger up so you can have the open A string. And then this time, we gently lay both fingers back down. And the reason why we do both fingers is that the middle finger will be covering the third fret of A for this note. And you see we still have the general shape from the very beginning of the song. That's important because the next chord we're going into is a G chord. So from here, all we're going to do is arc the middle finger back up, but we get to leave that index barred where it is. So now it should be a regular G chord shape. And then from here, we're going to pick the third fret of E twice. Or if you're using a high G like I am right now, you can just pick the open G. And then we're going to pick the second fret of A, which is also still being covered by this bar. So this chord essentially will carry you throughout most of the entire first bar. And then finally, we're going to have a chord change. We're going to move into a D. Now, you don't have to do a full D chord if you don't want to. From this bar G position, it's much, much simpler to just pivot your fingers and bypass the G string. So start from the C, and this will be second, second, and open. To make a more full sound when you get to this chord, you can go ahead and do a full D. But in the video, it sounded just as nice doing a D chord with 3 strings and also made it much simpler and smoother to switch to. There's no pause in the music between switching chords. So again, from this barred position, all you're going to do is pivot your fingers, and so now it's 2nd fret C, 2nd fret of E. And then closing out this bar, we're going to pick, leaving the chord there, pick the 2nd fret of E, and then C. That's technically the end of this verse. That last 2nd fret of the C that you see on the screen launches us into the next bar. Before we go into bar 2, let's play this one together very slowly. So back into that bar G chord position. Then moving into bar 2. And so that's what bar 2 will sound like. So starting at the beginning, measure 6 right here, you see that we're going into an E minor now. So another new chord, E minor, 2nd fret of the A, 3rd fret of E, 4th fret of the C. But for now, we're not going to be playing the A string. We're just going to be focusing on the top 3 strings, G, C, and E. So you're just going to make the position, but just strum those top 3 strings. Then pick that 3rd fret of E. Open A, and so you don't technically need this index finger yet. And then we will need the index finger. Go ahead and put it back in 2nd fret of the A, and pick that once. And then just like the first bar, we're going to go into a G5. And so from here to the E minor, the middle finger can stay where it's at, but all you're going to do is add the pinky, remove the ring, and add the 2nd fret of the C. So it's a small movement. I'm going to strum that chord once. And in fact, measure 7, the one that we're on right now, is exactly the same as measure 3. And from here, we're going to flatten the index, just like the previous measure. Pick that 2nd fret of A. And then arc that index finger just slightly to get the open A. And then, this is probably very familiar to you, lay both fingers down again like the last bar. Pick that 3rd fret of the A this time. And then from here, we're just going to arc that middle finger back up, so we're in that, back into that barred G chord position. And strum that once. From here, we're just going to pick the 3rd fret of E. Your finger's already there. And then we're going to go into a C5. And so all you're going to do is remove the bar chord, but leave the middle finger where it is. And from here, you're just going to strum the top 3 strings yet again. So G, C, and E. Just ignore the A for now. So putting those 2 chords together, G, 3rd fret E, and then C5. And then while this index finger is lifted off, you can pick open A. And then 2nd fret of A. And then here we can go into another D chord. So you can do as the same thing we did before. We just make it a little easier on yourself and bypass the G string. Or since we're into the final measure of the song now and you want it to sound a little more full, we can go ahead and do the full D chord. 2nd, 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 and open. After that D chord, we're going into our final chord now, our G chord. And so for this G, we're not going to strum the A. We're going to stop at that E string. So it'll just be open, 2nd, and 3rd. So putting this last bar together very slowly, we'll go like this. And that's how to play I Saw Three Ships on the ukulele. To get the tabs and many more tutorials, head over to ukeondemand.com and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming fingerstyle tutorials. We'll see you next time.